I have got to talk about this video right here. This is Dad from a Distance, period 5, I believe. Last time I saw him, he said, I'm surrendering my rights because the battle is just too much and I don't want my kids to be in the middle of it. Well, your kids, if you stop the court, I'm going to show you a couple of comments that he said, but he's justifying being a pussy. And that's usually what happens when dads quit on their kids. And as I've said a million times before, I know the court system is biased. I know it's hell to go through. But you had kids with a crazy person, and it's your fault your kids were brought into this melee. And then some dads out there are saying, I can't take it anymore, so I'm just going to give the kids to her and they'll figure it out later on in life. I'm going to defer. I'm going to seek peace now and defer for some future kumbaya utopia where everything will work out just fine. And most of the time, the kids end up being brainwashed and alienated. But what he says here, let's go with this statement right here. Let's check this.
If
Okay.
a deranged human being was trying to take their
He said, I'll rescue my kids if some crazy was trying to harm them.
Without fight to the death for my children. In fact, I would probably fight to the death for anyone's children.
So he quit on his own kids because he didn't want to fight in family court. But he said, look, I'll fight if somebody's trying to harm the kids like anybody else would. And then he goes on to saying, but fight in family court? And see, this is the thing. The kids are not watching your fight in family court. The kids are only watching where you are, if you're in their life or not. But watch this.
Those circumstances. But the question that I ask often is, do you love your children enough to stop the fight? Do you love them enough to quit fighting? Do you love them enough to set an example of zero tolerance and show them that they are worth way more than a fight?
Okay, what he's leaving out is that there's a narcissistic parent trying to control and brainwash and alienate the kids, which is a form of child abuse. So he said, think about what he said. He said, if a total stranger who's a crazy person tries to harm the kids, I'll fight to the death. But if the mom is abusing the kids, like, and you guys know, I show you the scientific paper in the Psychiatric Times that says alienation is just as traumatic as physical and sexual abuse. So he'll protect the kid from physical or sexual abuse if a stranger does it. But if the mom does it, he's such a simp. This guy is such a simp that he won't fight because he wants to set an example. This is pussified simping because it's just as traumatic for the kids, but he says, I won't do it in divorce court. And he said he just watched the documentary Divorce Corp and saw how attorneys are making money and taking their kids to college off of the backs of kids who are alienated. But let's look at the beginning here real quick also.
Who talk about how they would fight to the end for their kids. They would fight to the bitter end. They would fight to the death. They would fight. If you love your kids, you'll fight for them. If you don't fight for them, the kids won't think you love them.
Okay, now I disagree with that. That's stupid. If anybody says that, all the kids see and know is whether you're present in their life. They're not monitoring the court case. Now, I will take exception to this in my case because when my baby's mom came around when my daughter was 19, they told her, hey, we want to be in your life. And she's like, why now? Well, your dad can't interfere. And she's like, my dad didn't interfere. And they're like, yeah, he did. No, he didn't. Yeah, he did. And then my daughter said, okay, let's say that he did interfere. How come he didn't fight for me? So I know from personal experience, if you fight from somebody and the other person abandons. So this guy looks like the abandoner now because he quit on his kid. But, you know, in my case, my daughter was well aware when she was older. She saw the mother for what she was. She knows that I have a court battle. She knows about what I do now. And so she's seen it. And she's seen me when the mother does come for a visit. You know, I give her pictures or I don't take away stuff when they have pictures together. I had a t-shirt that said mommy's favorite because I wanted the mother to feel comfortable that I'm not here dropping the child off and then brainwashing the child. I have my daughter's in a t-shirt saying mommy's favorite when she's younger and she's going to visit her mom because I wanted, if the mom decided she wanted to be back in, I want the transition to be comfortable and I'm not going to condemn her for life if she woke up and repented of her ways. But this guy talks about the kids in a fake way to say he's doing it for the kids when he's still really a pussy at heart. So let's watch a little bit more of this, and I'm going to show some of the comments.
If you don't fight for them, you must be a deadbeat. If you don't fight for them, you must be a failure as a father. Or
Now, I don't think that either. I think it's either one or the other. You fight for your kids, or you don't fight and you lose them. It's not a failure as a father. It's a failure if you intentionally quit. But I'm not dismissing the fact that the fight is horrible. But what else are you going to do in life? The fight is horrible. This guy is complaining that the fight sucks. The court shouldn't be like that. The court should just automatically give 50-50 unless you're convicted of being a pedophile or something like that. But that's not going to happen. So I'm dealing with the real world, and he's dealing with I wish. He thinks he's R. Kelly. I wish. I wish the court system was fair. I wish it was 50-50. I wish my baby's mom couldn't be a narcissistic witch. The only person in the world that's going to rescue his kids from the narcissistic mother is this guy, and he won't do it because it's too hard for him. Now watch. He tells on himself.
as a mother. I watched a documentary on YouTube the other day called Divorce Court. This documentary literally spoke to me in almost every experience that I had with family court and with family law attorneys.
Okay, so the documentary Divorce Court talks about how bad the court system is. He said it spoke to me about what I went through. Me, my feelings, my hurt, my pain, my wounds. So he starts pretending this is about the children, and then he goes, will you just lay down and stop fighting for the sake of the children? He thinks that being nice... Think about this in a war. Let's say there's political reasons, there's reasons to believe that the war in Afghanistan and Iraq and all that stuff was conjured up bullcrap. But let's say it was a legit war, or let's say the war in Nazi Germany was legit. When you're dealing with a dictator, if you lay down your guns at the battle line, will the other side say, oh, I want peace because they laid down their guns? Would a terrorist lay down their guns because you laid them down? This guy is saying, are you going to lay down your guns and stop the war in family court? If the good person stops it, then the bad person wins and the bad person continues alienating. How come he can't get that? He's so caught up in his feelings. He's such a narcissist, hypocritically. He cares about himself and his feelings and his comfort zone more than anything. And then he comes up with this fake, phony philosophy that the kids will appreciate it later on. Yeah, if they're not brainwashed and totally alienated from you. You know, even present father, who I mock a lot because he's a hustler, $250 an hour, he gave the kids to the mom 50-50 when she continued to alienate them. And then he whined and cried about the alienation they suffered when he served them up for that. Even he proved that even when you're a pussy, if you continue to hang in there and you engage in the war of attrition, the other side's going to wear down. Now, it took all the way up until the trial, until the mother said, you know what, he can have custody. I just want every other weekend. She got beat down. Even a soft pussy like Grizzly Adams' present father, Randy, who endured until the end through trial, wore her down. Now, he could have made her quit early on if he would have got on a supervised visitation like his attorney advised him. But this guy quit. What if he would have went to trial? What if he would have kept going? The kids are already in a tug of war. If you remove yourself and abandon them as a dad, then they're continually they're a prisoner of war on the mom's side. Just think of all the prisoners of war we left in Vietnam, and then we left them hanging. You know, that's what Rambo was about. That's what, you know, different documentaries were about. Are we great for abandoning those prisoners of war? Does that sound good now if I use a war analogy? No, it doesn't. That's why he's full of crap. Now look at... So this guy's pussy post brings in more people. Family law is corrupt. I'm $50,000 in the hole and have nothing to show for it 15 months later. Yeah, understandable. And this person's a doctor, so they're intellectual and stuff. But they didn't get off their ass. Now this looks like a woman. They didn't get off their ass enough to look for answers and learn how to represent themselves. I have a doctor that I'm working with right now. He got so sick and tired of lawyers that he looked for alternatives, and he found me. And he after his first consult with me, he's like, no attorney ever talked to me like you did. You're solid, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep telling people why they should quit on their kids. Family court is a complete scam. They are a court system without any crimes, just human rights that are withheld. Just whining, crying, pissing, and moaning. That's all we got here. But I just wanted you guys to see, when you look at somebody who says you can quit on your kids, they end up telling on themselves that they were a soft pussy, and it's all about how it made them feel and the trauma they have. I have trauma too, but I didn't let it stop me. Don't let it stop you.